Welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, April 5th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today. Ooh, I am not surprised to see this. So, one of the things I love is when we have continuation of tarot spreads. So one of the things I want you to, the two cards that we're starting our day off with today are the Judgment card in its upright and the Three of Swords in its reversal. Now this is intriguing because if you recall, if you head over to our Substack, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll find the image of yesterday's spread there. This is the same card that we ended yesterday's reading on. And more importantly, it's also in the same upright position. So this is a continuation of the spread that we had yesterday. It's just picking up where it left off. Now, it's also very interesting because yesterday, top of the spread, we had the Three of Swords in its upright. Now it's in the Three of Swords in its reversal. Remember what I was talking about in relationality to a lot of this feeling that we're having right now? I'm going to work you guys through this again. So, what's interesting is a big demarcation point that we were seeing in yesterday's reading was like working through the consistency of a lesson, even though the eclipse has come down, right? I keep on calling this energy right now, like, the energetically, it's like a decompress, right? It's like a de-escalation moment. And that's why this might actually be, and I know it's going to sound a little odd, I feel like this might actually be the hardest part of the eclipse cycle. And I know you're going to say to me, you're going to say like, Sin, the eclipse is over. I know it's over, but you have to remember that, and this is what we talk about, you have to think about it to a certain extent. Like there aren't planetary on and off switches. Okay. It's not like boom, boom. Things, they grow and they come back down. So when we talk about like kind of the pre-shadow period, I always feel like pre-shadow is like a strange way to describe it. It's like an ascension point, right? Like the amplification of coming into like the eclipse cycle, right? It's like the volume knob that gets raised. And now we're going through, and that's why I always feel like shadow is the wrong word for it. It's like the decompression point, the de-escalation, if you will, of the volume knob going back down from the eclipse cycle. Now, the reason that this come down energy feels even worse is, and this is what I keep on reminding you guys about, eclipses don't have characteristics. They're often called chaotic, but I feel like the best word to describe it is more unpredictable. And the reason that we identify the fact that eclipses are unpredictable is because when you think about a volume knob, you can't say to someone, well, what's the characteristics of volume? It's louder. It's louder. So when we're going through those moments where we feel like that loudness, when it feels like things get amplified, they're not predicated. Everyone's different. It has more to do with what's occurring in those moments. And I keep on describing the fact that this eclipse came during I want to say like a time that we were going through a pretty a bit of a rough patch as it relates to the combination force of the Mercury retrograde with the Venus retrograde. Like a lot of that work that we identify, and I keep on describing this, Venus retrograde cycles, they have those moments or those experiences where they feel like they distort perception, right? It's hard to see things clearly. That's why, again, I keep on saying it's not and like those in the beauty system, those who work in beauty can attest. It's not like the Venus retrograde shows up and everyone forgets how to use scissors. It's the fact that our perception of things distorts. So it's harder for us to see beauty in things. And at the same time, we've got that Mercury retrograde cycle, which makes everything start feeling a lot clumsier. Now, again, Mercury retrograde cycles helping us understand the difference between a groove and a rut, right? But when we're working through that context of working through a groove and a rut, sometimes we have to be moved out of our comfort zone. So we're coming out of this eclipse cycle, but that energy is still there, right? So we have to add to it a little bit of that ennui, right? A little bit of that, like that feeling of decompress. And so it can feel exhaustive. It can feel a little bit like working through like the blahs, if you will, right? But that's why I'm saying even now, I want you to think about this energy as kind of like working through the energy of solace, right? Because when we're working through the energy of solace, it can be fortifying. It can feel cathartic. It can feel healing, but it also requires a lot of that work in finding that sense of peace within the self. Because I keep on hearing like a lot of this work that we're doing during this time is working in the context of making peace with things, right? But when we're making peace with things, it's not peaceful. Like, it's not easy. It's not pleasant. It's having to find, like I keep on hearing, the grit it takes to make peace, right? Right. And that's why I keep on telling you guys, I don't want you taking anything personal right now. I don't want you working in that context of being very energetically defensive, because everything we keep on seeing here is there's almost like that work in terms of finding that consistent point, and that ability of doing so. It's not easy, but I keep on hearing it's worth it, because there's a lot of opportunity for the expansion point on the other side of this cycle. So long as we're recognizing and we're letting this be a time that we're acting towards being productive with what we are energetically receiving. Now, this is having a different impact depending on where we find ourselves on the frequency cycles. Now, for a lot of the energy and separation, I see that there's something that is healing in relationality to working in the space of catharsis. Now, why do we see that the word catharsis is coming through right now for energy and separation? Because I keep on getting something that's very important here, and we've been talking about this. Trauma occurs when we move away from a situation and we don't have clarity as to what's happening. It's often those moments of confusion that trauma occurs. And I keep on seeing that there's something that is very beautiful that's happening for some energy and separation as it relates to healing from the context of thinking that one has to get over something in order to move forward from it, right? Because that's the thing about it. And I keep on hearing that the thing that's so wacky is when someone says that they're trying to get over trauma, it is an oxymoron, right? Trauma is the pain that we cannot stop feeling, right? If we could, we would, right? If we could, we would. So one of the things that we're recognizing and identifying have to be in those spaces or places of understanding how we heal from something. And a lot of that work that we recognize and identify in relationality to how we heal from something is identifying how we carry it. And so I keep on seeing, and that's why I keep on hearing that these are chariot lessons. Why are they chariot lessons? Because I see a lot of energy being able to move forward by reconsidering how they carry something, right? And when we redistribute how we carry something, we suddenly find an ability to move forward from it. And everything I keep on seeing has to do with the redistribution of energetic work, right? If these are situations or circumstances from the past that are coming into a space of resolution, then even here, these are modalities where there's energy that is talking about the work to be done and what that energetic effort takes. If these are new connections that are occurring during this space, this is the energy that is showing each other via the determination that they're bringing to something that isn't easy. that they have what it takes because they understand that perfection is not found, it is made. And for any energy that is coming into closure, I see even here, there's something very cathartic that may be occurring in some of these separations, because this, I keep on hearing the energy coming into separation and saying, make no mistake, almost re-amplifying to one another the reasons why there is a point of separation. Because when we are able to clearly communicate as to why we are energetically separating, it doesn't create trauma in the process, right? It hurts, but it's not traumatizing because it is understood. So I keep on seeing that, like, something about the frustration here in any context feels like it's a relief, because I keep on hearing like frustrated, not traumatized, like disappointed, not devastated, right? The energy, like when we say these words, it is the energy of experiencing something with our eyes closed versus with our eyes open. So I keep on seeing that this is why this is being communicated here for energy and separation, because they're going through something, but they're doing so with clear eyes. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of the work that we're seeing coming into divine union right now has to do with understanding the assignment. And that's why the energy is looking back on the past. Because when we look back upon the past and we see something there that we couldn't see before, that's the moment we realize that we understand the assignment, right? They're not holding that space in regret. They're not holding that space in devastation. They're looking upon something for the directions as to what the work needs to be, right? There's a level or degree of practicality that is arising here. That again, it's like working through grit. It's working through the grit and determination that it takes to be able to see the self that allows for the context of change as one is going forward, right? While for masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to deep within divine union, this is a lot of this energy. I keep on seeing this is the energy that's I keep on seeing protective, not defensive. Why is the energy saying protective, not defensive? Because we've been talking a lot about, when I'm reading into this energy, there's a lot of conversations upon the difference between stubbornness and fervency, right? I keep on hearing the word firmament whenever I read up into that energy. And the reason I keep on hearing that is because the difference between stubbornness and firmament, something that is important, is the ability to communicate as to the reasons why. And that's the energy that says, I want to talk about it. And if someone's like, I don't want to talk about it, be like, well, why don't you want to talk about it? Being like, I don't like it. Being like, you're being energetically stubborn, right? Like you're being like that is literally the definition of stubbornness, because often when we hold on to something, right, that we're being stubborn about, and we don't want to talk about why, this is the energy that was going through those lessons that we were going through, all that warrior cycle stuff that said, like, what did warrior energy teach us? Warriors work on learning how not to be stubborn, because when we're stubborn, like, we work through surrender, understanding. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of what we insist upon when we see that the reason that we insist upon it is because it feels good to do so, right? Something that feels good to do so often doesn't serve the self, right? It doesn't. If it bars explanation, it's usually coming from the ego, not the higher self. So we keep on seeing that there's something really beautiful in that. I mean, like, I see that there's a lot of trying to work through frustrating conversations in productive ways is the best way I can describe it. Or recognizing and identifying like what the energetic hurdle is, right? Like chariot lessons. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 7 of Pentacles in its reversal. We've been seeing this card a lot. This is the same card we saw in yesterday's reading in the same exact position. Frustrating, working through frustration is literally the definition of grit. I'm going to say it again. Working through frustration is literally the definition of grit. That's what grit is. And that's why, why we don't shy away from being energetically frustrated, right? Because when we are frustrated and we move away from something, that's when we become fickle, right? We're like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like it here. Like, I don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we go through those moments. We go through those moments, and it's like it has to be with navigating through the discomforture point. And yeah, things are frustrating. Things frustrate us all the time. Go talk to an Aries. They're never not frustrated. Like, that's why we're getting all this energy right now, right? This can be a little bit harder for those with Taurus placements, right? Because, working through those moments of being energetically frustrated, right? Like like that is often those moments that we feel like we have to rein in our egos, right? Because, and I need to point this out, and I keep on getting that the ability to embrace frustration helps us, again, working through what feels like, it helps us see what is for us versus what isn't, right? Because, and I keep on hearing, it has to do with navigating things that we don't like, right? And I need to point this out. When we are navigating frustration points, right? Often it's because what do we see? We go, there has to be an easier way. Like, what does frustration say? Right? Okay, these are all Mercury lessons that are coming through right now. What does frustration say? There has to be an easier way, right? That is what healthy frustration says. And so what happens when we're navigating frustration? We innovate. Like, this is a Mercury lesson. We innovate upon it, right? We go, this is there has to be an easier way, right? And so often, like, we come into a space of recognizing and identifying either what the source of an energetic hurdle is, so that we're able to come into a place where it gets easier, or we do something, we innovate, like we find a solution to something. But solutions are only found in the space of navigating through our energetic frustration, right? It's navigating through the identification point of what's not working in order to find something that feels like it is smoother, right? And, like, again, you have to we keep on getting a lot of those messages about, like, what it takes to polish a surface, right? You have to kind of work through that space, that often when things feel like they're seamless, right? It's because, like, and when we talk about this, like, when we do something that feels like it's seamless, it's a gift that we get, that we come into, because others don't recognize and identify the work that it takes to become energetically seamless, right? It's often those moments, I keep on hearing that these are conversations upon grace, because grace, the definition of grace, is something that feels like it's effortless, but then you understand and recognize how hard it is. And it is the fact that we navigate a point of grace, that we create grace within ourselves, because by doing so, we find those moments, or we find those opportunities where it's intentional, right? It is the fluidity that becomes intentional, because we put our effort, or we put our intentionality towards it. So I keep on seeing that, like, a lot of this energy right now, it's like, it's frustrating, but it's not about being energetically frustrated. It's about how you move through the energetic frustration point. It's about how you recognize and identify what feels like it brings you into that point. And that's why I keep on seeing that, like, that's why I'm saying that something about this period coming out of the eclipse cycle almost feels more frustrating than being in the eclipse cycle proper. Because at least when you're in the eclipse cycle, there's like, there's that amplification where it just feels like a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like a lot of energetic excitement, right? And so this feels even more frustrating, because it's like, it's working through the come down of the eclipse, as it were. Now, this is having a different impact depending on where we find ourselves in the frequency cycles. For masculine and feminine, I just keep on seeing that this is, I'm going to get two more cards before I clarify how this is impacting the frequencies. Yeah, again, and this is beautiful, because I want to show you these cards. So if you're listening on the podcast, the two cards we just pulled are the Eight of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with the World card. Now, one thing I want you to bear in mind is I like to see these two cards together, right? I like to see these three cards together, to be perfectly fair. Because what we have here, when we've got the Two of Pentacles in its reversal, the Seven of Pentacles in its reversal, and the Eight of Pentacles in its reversal with the World card, this is exactly the conversation that we're having. When we get frustrated, but we don't give up on our frustration, right? When we put determination towards our frustration, what do we find? Solutions, right? We find solutions. There's that World card. Now, this is why I'm telling you guys right now that a lot of the energy in separation, this is why these partnerships that are coming together right now are Chariot energy. This is not energy that waits for ideal opportunities for things to occur. This is not energy that waits for something to be perfect. This is the energy that says we build with what we got. We build with what we got. It's never ideal to do something. Ideal is what you make, not what you find, right? The ideal circumstance is any time you find the ability to understand what the assignment is, right? It's when it's like at your leisure, but any time you're ready. This is how the universe is. It's like, and again, this is why I'm seeing that working through frustration, but trying to find energetic solutions for frustration. What's beautiful about this for energy, I keep on seeing that this is the hallmark right now that is helping energy understand the difference between circumstances from the past that weren't moving forward versus the energy that is moving forward today, which is, again, it's not about being frustrated, right? This is why we don't walk away when we're frustrated, but we work through something, because that ability of doing so is the energy that understands and finds within their self the ability to overcome their own frustration to work towards solutions. And that's why I keep on hearing that this is the energy that is also working in that context of healing their relationship. And I keep on getting this to a certain extent. There's something very difficult for some of the energy in separation right now in relationality to healing from circumstances in the past where another person was, bringing I keep on seeing that there's something about this here that is allowing for some kind of level or degree of productivity, because this is the energy that is equally working. And I keep on seeing this right now, working very critically on creating energetic balance, right? They're not looking so much as to what another can do. They're looking for what they can do. And then they're looking towards counterpart that's doing that as well. And you see this, I keep on hearing, it's like a no blame zone. You know what I mean? This is beautiful. I see a lot of energy right now in separation saying blame is pointless, because when we blame things, we're trying to move the work off of ourselves, right? And so I keep on seeing that this is the energy that is coming towards each other in partnership via being able to identify what they're changing in order to make something more seamless. So this is saying to me, there's a lot of breakthrough energy that's happening right now as it relates to energy and separation, being able to recognize, and I keep on hearing breaks or breakthrough, being able to recognize what the hurdle is that's causing the problem that feels like it's a closure point, or having a breakthrough in working with energy that is constructive as it relates to how to solve a problem. While for masculine and feminine right now coming into divine union, clarification between our Judgment card and our Three of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. I love it. We've got our Queen of Cups here, right? I can talk to you about anything. And that's the beauty about it. I just keep on seeing there's an openness here that's happening in the language of the energy coming into divine union. And I keep on seeing, I keep on hearing something that's happening right now for energy coming into divine union in terms of them saying to one another, before you, my flaws become facets. Before you, before you, my scars become sacred. Before you, And that's why I keep on seeing here that there's something about that, because there's something beautiful that's happening for the energy coming into divine union, that we talked a lot about this. This is like all of these lessons that we're working through right now in this retrograde are moving away from the idea of perfection and moving closer to the aspiration of being energetically exquisite. And why do we see that happening? Because when we talked a lot about this yesterday, when we're trying to move towards perfection, like when we're trying to move towards the higher self, we understand that that is a continual journey, right? It's always above us, right? It's always slightly out of grasp. And that work of doing so, we work to move more in alignment with that aspiration of self. But we also don't bludgeon ourselves with it. We also don't blame ourselves if we feel like we're never reaching our full potential, because we understand that when we hold ourselves to a high standard, we always feel like we're kind of falling short of our potential. Like that's the nature of the circumstance. And so I keep on seeing that this is the energy that is healing from their aspiration or desire to be perfect by understanding the nature of being energetically exquisite. And what is exquisite? Exquisite is something that is unique. It is something that is rare. It does not strive to be like anyone else. It is the ability to find the facets within the self that make us energetically sacred and embrace them, right? And that's a hard thing, right? That's a hard thing when we're working through a lot of these lessons right now, because often during this Mercury-Venus mashup of a retrograde, it's often to look at something and be like, oh, I hate that. Oh, I hate that about myself. Oh, you know what I mean? Like it's like that space that you want to blame yourself or you want to be hard on yourself. But when we have that space, and this is why the gift of like the Leo retrograde, the Leo full moon was helping us through this. When we look at something and we get frustrated at ourselves, and then we build an affirmation or resolution within that space, it becomes the ability to give ourselves some grace as we move towards the perfection of the self. Because we say, I could do better, right? It's like, and we build the resolution within ourselves to change. So I keep on seeing that like a lot of that work of doing so, it's allowing for a lot of that. It's like, it feels, it's like compassion, and give the compassion you give yourself as you're creating new standards for yourself, right? And so I keep on seeing it's a lot of that like pardon our appearance type of energy, right? But this is the energy that says to counterpart, if these are those moments that they're being hard on themselves, this is often a good counterpart, helps us calibrate when we're being too hard on ourselves, because that's the energy that says to one another, stay, like, allow for that amplification of care. I see the work that you do. I understand. I see what you aspire to be, but hold yourself gently in that embrace as you reach for it. Continuing to get clarification for energy deep within divine union right now between our 3 of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 7 of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification. Here's the thing. Here comes Saturn. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. So one of the things that we're identifying right now that we just have to recognize is like, and I keep on calling this like, this is just my way of viewing something to a certain extent. So like, I keep on calling this like, there's like this little bit of like a pile up here of, there's like a little bit of there's something very intriguing that's happening right now that I just want to, I'm sure you've heard me mention this yesterday, and I'm going to bring it back up today, which is, so the energy that is Neptune is typically the energy that lags behind. It's like the back end energy. It's a memory, and it's moving forward into Aries. And then we've got Mercury that's usually the front end energy, and it's dipping back into Pisces. So there's something a little, and then we've got Saturn that's kind of like hanging out between them along with Venus, and now like Saturn's moving closer to them. So it keeps, I've been describing this to a certain extent as a very interesting moment, because that's what I was talking about when I kept on saying, and it was funny because I didn't know why I kept on getting the message last month saying like Renaissance energy, but this is why. Because what happens when we have that is that we're able to look at the past in new ways, right? We're able to reorient. And so I keep on seeing that to a certain extent, a renaissance is a reorientation point, right? Like it almost allows for a confluence of allowing the past to return in ways that we couldn't perceive and view it before, that helps us shape the determination point of the future. So I keep on seeing that there's something very important that's occurring right now in relationality to how we perceive the past, right? And there's almost like a pragmatism there is what I'm seeing. There's something that feels energetically helpful to a certain extent, but it's rough. It's like it's hard, right? There's a lot of that point of determination. Now, one of the things I keep on seeing is, and that's what I kept on telling you guys, that there's something about the past coming back right now, emotionally, spiritually, or tangibly. But again, the gift of something from the past returning is it helps us see how far we've come. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, working through frustrating circumstances with the fermentation point of the self, feeling the strength of one's own self as you navigate something that would have like really frustrated you before. I keep on seeing that there's something about that that feels very, I keep on hearing protective and not defensive, right? And when something is protective, I have to point this out. When we're protective, we're being courageous, right? When we're protective, we're energetically courageous. We face our fear full tilt. Like we have that moment. These were all the lessons that we navigated with the Mars retrograde cycle. Like when we're being more defensive, it can often speak about the space that we're being sure, but we're not articulating upon what that sureness is, right? So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that work that's happening right now, particularly in the space of navigating through frustration in new ways. But there's something about that, even for energy deep within divine union, that feels encouraging. It feels strengthening. It feels edifying. Continuing to get clarification between our 7 of Pentacles in its reversal and our 8 of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now. That's what I'm seeing right now. That's what I'm talking about. I love when the cards are in alignment with what I'm talking about, because here's again, like this 4 of Wands, this is talking a lot about some of that Renaissance energy that we were speaking towards, right? There's a lot of nostalgia that's being created right now, right? And the thing about nostalgia that we have to recognize and identify is it's the observation point on the past. And what's beautiful about the observation point on the past, but we always have to calibrate for it, is that the past is beautiful, because when we look at the past, everything is beautiful, but nothing hurt, right? It's a lot of that work that we do to navigate and recognize that even in the context of us looking back at something, our perception of it from the present has changed. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now across the frequencies, that ability to look upon something and to speak towards it, but in a way that feels uplifting. It feels like it holds the promise of the self as one discusses it. This is a lot of the energy that is being, I keep on saying, being frustrated, but productive in their frustration. Because when we are frustrated, the reason we feel frustrated instead of devastated has to do with being able to understand why, right? When we're devastated, we usually have a lack of understanding on something. Like that's why we use the term devastated. But when we're frustrated, we can usually articulate why we're frustrated. It's like how much time you got. So I keep on seeing that there's something very productive and beneficial that is occurring right now in relationality to frustrating conversations that are happening right now in separation, because the hallmark of a frustrating separation is the fact that it's going somewhere. Okay. It is the fact. It is the fact that you see that there's energetic progress being made. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, being able to articulate and amplify as it relates to what one is frustrated about, and then being able to come into a solution. This is how we heal, because this is the energy saying, see how easy it is? Like, you see how easy it is? See how easy it is when there's a problem and then we just work towards the solution? You see how easy it is? Like, it's like bump, 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 bump. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm going like this, because I feel like there's some energy in separation that's doing the cha-cha and feeling the relief of working with someone that like is able to navigate a problem and then immediately trying to come into the space of finding a solution, right? Like, that's why my hands are going like this. Right? Like, wow. Like, it's like that moment of being like, wow, that was so easy. Oh my gosh. Wow. That triggered me. Right? It's like, I'm getting that kind of thing. Now, because I literally have some moments right now in separation where someone like experiences something and they feel triggered and they go, here we go again. And they prepare, they wait for it. And then suddenly you just move through it and you go, right. And that's why the energy is like, you know what I mean? It's in that moment where you feel like you're about to be triggered. You're like, oh no. And then you're like, oh yes. Continuing to get clarification for energy that's coming into divine union. I keep on hearing processing, right? Yeah. Again, yeah, processing. And that's what's beautiful about it. Because here's the thing about it. Like, I keep on hearing that there's something about the energy coming into divine union that's working through the ability of healthy processing, right? And again, when we process things in healthy ways, we don't resent anything, right? When we're processing, we're not resenting, right? When we're processing, we're not harboring. When we're processing, we're not dwelling, right? And so I keep on seeing that there's something really beautiful about the energy coming into divine union as it relates to being able to go through things that would have, like, I keep on saying that would have felt, going through things that would have felt rigorous or would have felt isolating in the past, but in a way that feels energetically supportive to the self. You know, like, that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, this is the energy that's going through circumstances or situations where they're saying to one another, now you see the real me. And the energy being like, I've always seen that. Nothing has changed. Like, anything you're articulating to me, that is also energetically beautiful, because it's the identification point of the work that another does. Now, for masculine and feminine deep within divine union, clarification between our Queen of Cups in combination with our Five of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Cups in its upright. So, you know, I love to see, I absolutely adore. And if you have a moment, go make sure to take a look at the photo of today's spread on Substack. I absolutely adore seeing the Three of Swords reversed with the Ace of Cups beneath it, because that's the energy that effectively says that when we don't, you know, when we don't dwell on things, right? When we don't harbor energetic resentment, but we come into that space of being able to articulate and communicate why something has meaning to us. I keep on seeing, like, I keep on hearing, it allows for the ability, I keep on hearing, it allows for the ability of energetically clearing the slate, as it were, right? And why do I keep on hearing the space that it clears the slate? Because, you know, it's when we get, and I keep on hearing, like that's like, it's getting things off of our chest, but getting things off of our chest in a way that feels like it is productive, right? It feels like being able to communicate in a way that allows for that space of working on something in a way that doesn't feel like it's energetically reactive. And I keep on seeing that there's something about the energy right now deep within divine union that, and that's the thing about it. When you do that work on the self, it can be very frustrating if you're working in the context of someone that hasn't done that work, right? Because it's almost like you can't help someone, you can't help someone else through that. You know what I mean? And it can be like sometimes we have those moments. I keep on hearing there's a lot of energy deep within divine union working through the frustration point in not being able to heal something when another energy is in a space that they're not ready to do so. But that's why I see that energy, like they don't force things, right? They don't force things in that context. They just recognize and identify like what the source is. And so I keep on seeing I keep on hearing a lot of the energy deep within divine union saying understanding the nature of a problem doesn't fix an energetic problem. I mean, it's a relief to the self, but it can still feel frustrating because you would prefer it be a different way. But that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, it's like, it's working. It's like I keep on hearing whenever another is ready, like that work can begin. Right? I keep on hearing sometimes I keep on hearing this is what's happening right now. There's energy within divine union that's like holding energetic lessons, but they're holding energetic lessons. I need to stress this. They're not trying to teach a lesson. They're like basically saying if that person ever, if that day ever comes and that person's ready to do that work, I'm ready to show up for it. You know what I mean? That's the energy that's but you can't force someone to be in that space of being ready to do so. You know what I mean? It's a lot of it's a lot of that, should the day ever come, it's continuing, should the day ever come? Yeah. Continuing to get, clarification between our 5 of Wands in combination with our 4 of Wands and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Yeah. It's it's the day, the day, and that's the thing about it. For energy within divine union, the energy is always frustrated because they're like, that day could be today. It could be today. They would prefer it be today. You know what I mean? Because, I need to point this out. I see a lot of energy that wants to work in that space. I feel like I feel that there's a lot of energy right now deep within divine union. It's not that they don't have abandonment wounds on their own, but they're holding room for others' abandonment wounds, if that makes sense. That's the best way I can describe it. It's it's just holding room for others' abandonment wounds. And why is it coming through like that? Because when we care, when we care about each other, that's almost what we do, right? It's not that we're perfect, but we love each other in our imperfection, right? And again, it's not those spaces that it's not that we we understand, and I keep on seeing this, we understand the context by which another is ready to do work, right? We don't force those journeys, right? We love each other in those spaces. But there's also something really interesting there because I can see that something about the energy deep within divine union is working in the context of when you're trying to be restorational and it feels like you're navigating an abandonment wound that another hasn't processed through. It's it almost requires you to have to circumvent it to a certain extent. You know what I mean? I literally see it would be easier, but that's the energy that goes out of the way, right? They go out of the way to try to navigate and circumvent, because even in that space, it is articulating and amplifying the level of care that they have for one another, right? So I keep on seeing that that's really beautiful, because even in divine union, this is the energy that works through their own abandonment wounds, trying to articulate to another and say, am I doing this in the clearest way possible, right? And help identify what they can do better or what they have to continue to circumvent. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energy that says, This is more of that space that I see another saying, um, like the like our ability to understand our limitations is what allows us to heal them. And we talked a lot about this. Remember, because and I want to tell you, like, I want to bring this up again because this is going to bring us back into the energy and separation. Like, healing is not about becoming perfect. Healing is about understanding the self, right? We become perfected when we know ourselves, because that ability of knowing the self allows us to understand what we are working on or what we're energetically comfortable with, right? And it has to do, it's interesting because it feels like there's a lot of these conversations that are coming through as it relates to abandonment wounds and comfort zone, right? When we understand our abandonment wounds, we're able to recognize our comfort zone. We're able, as my cat is doing retrograde thing, which is trying to eat my mic and knocking it out of its microphone. So just bear with me a moment as I try to fix that, because I just want to make sure that it's not affecting the quality of the sound that we're hearing. So one of the things that we're seeing right now is that for a lot of the energy working through that context, that is the energy that basically says, you know, and that's the energy that I keep on getting, is giving themselves a measure or degree of grace. Because again, what is great? It is the grit. It is the grit that we put on the mirror of the self. It is the appreciation we give ourselves as we move towards perfection. And again, it's not that work is easy, but being able to work through a frustration point being able to work through a frustration point and still be smooth is what we try to work in the context of, as it relates to identifying and recognizing the self, right? It's a journey of the self, but in the space of doing so, not only do we identify what we could do better, but we also identify what we need to change that can allow for a point of innovation. And that's why we keep on seeing that I told you, a lot of this work that we experience right now, especially with Venus in retrograde on top of the Mercury retrograde, is it can often lead to things going wrong in awkward ways at like the least convenient time, right? But that's why I keep on calling it, to a certain extent, improv energy, because, when we go through those moments and we don't get frustrated, but we move through them, it allows us to appreciate our own ability of finding that point of stabilization within the self, right? It's not something that you feel hard about the self with. It almost like creates, it feels edifying. It feels reinforcing. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now in separation, that ability to see that quality and characteristic in the other. Like, I see energy right now in separation, in the relationality of working through something, but not avoiding a hard conversation. Almost like that desire to confront something as it arrives instead of trying to avoid it. This is energy in separation, identifying grit in potential counterpart, right? And that is the energy. And when we see grit, like when we see grit in another, we feel safe, right? Because that is the energy that we see that says that they don't move towards something because it's easy or it's convenient. They understand that when we want something, it's not conditional on the fact that the water is going to be smooth all the time, right? Like if you set your course in a direction, right? And then the wind change, you don't go, oh, I guess we're going back, right? Like, it's like, oh no, like, yep, forget it. No, you continue through it. You know what I mean? Like you move forward and you move through it regardless. And so that's why I keep on identifying right now that there's something really beautiful about the energy understanding and recognizing the grit that we see as it relates to building into a connection of seeing the quality and characteristic in counterpart, of not only does like being able to articulate upon a manifestation goal, but also having the point of determination in recognizing what it takes to get somewhere. You know what I mean? Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands in its upright in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with that Nine of Swords in its upright. It's not about things being easy right now. Nothing's easy right now. Easy now is not about easy. Now is about no trouble at all. Right? Now is not about easy. It's about no trouble at all. It's about identifying what it energetically takes. It's like a little bit of that, it's a little bit of that all hands on deck kind of energy, right? Because when we're working through that context, our ability to do so, it feels it's like again, I keep on hearing productive conversations. It feels like a lot of that modality of being able to articulate and amplify how we can do something better. And that's a bit of the gift of the retrograde period. Remember that I said that, because when we're going through a lot of the work right now, and I keep on pointing this out, Mercury retrogrades do not come here to just confound us. They come here to help us innovate. They help us recognize what feels like it is an alignment to us, or something that we can do to make something energetically easier, right? And that's why I keep on telling you guys not to take things personally right now, but be productive as you move through frustration. Because when we try to think productively around frustration, we don't take things personally. We just get practical. And I keep on seeing that's why for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, this feels like a lot of energy in relationality to observing and recognizing what effectively feels productive, right? Like what effectively feels like this is the energy I keep on hearing. And this is why the energy is saying no regrets, right? Because when we come into the space of no regrets, we say there's no point in regretting. Why regret when the gift of being able to look back and recognize that there's something that you could do differently? Welcome to the present. You know what I mean? Like the reason that the present is a gift is it gives you the opportunity to heal from the space of regret. While for masculine and feminine right now, deep within divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, clarification between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I please get one card to clarify? We've got here our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. So I keep on hearing that there's something really beautiful that is happening right now across the frequencies in working through the context of not only working towards a manifestation goal, but also recognizing and identifying what it takes to get there. Okay. Like we're talking a lot about that space of like understanding the difference between a wish and a manifestation, right? When you wish for something to be different, you just sit around, you don't do anything about it. You're like, oh, I wish that this could change. That's not a manifestation. A manifestation is a wish that is brought into action, right? A manifestation is a conversation with existence. And when the conversation is basically saying, this is what I aspire and desire for, this is what's outside of my control. This is what I'm going to do to try to move closer to that direction, right? It's a collaborative effort. And so I keep on seeing that, I keep on hearing across all of the frequencies right now doing this work, no wishes. It's a wish-free zone, because when we don't wish for things to be different, right? We just do that. We just identify what we could be doing to make things different. And so it's beautiful because I keep on hearing it's the magic of being disillusioned, right? It's working in the context of understanding that our own ability to change and adapt is incredible, because it allows for the context wherein anything can be possible, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Pentacles I want to say in combination, but it was coming out in conversation. So in combination or in conversation with the Eight of Swords and it's upright. Can I get one card to clarify? We've got here our 10 of Pentacles, right? there's a lot of this energy right now about being like what we hold on to, right? There's a lot of that work that we're seeing that is occurring right now in understanding the preciousness of the things that we hold on to. And I'm going to tell you right now, with like a lot of Neptune moving out of Pisces into Aries, it has a lot to do. It's hitting us a lot it's hitting us right in the feels. I'm going to tell you right now, it's hitting us right in the feels because it dwells in the space of sentiment, right? And what happens when things are dwelling in the space of sentiment is we're able to identify and articulate what has meaning to us, right? And there's something about the intrinsic nature of being able to talk about something that holds significance and importance to us, that has its own form of energetic productivity. It's the articulation point wherein we identify and recognize what is possible. But again, and this is why I keep on identifying it to a certain extent as Renaissance energy, because when we look at Renaissance energy, we look at the past with a new context, right? We look at something and we understand something that feels like it brings some even more clarity to us in the process of doing so. And so I keep on recognizing and identifying that there's something very important about that work across all of the frequencies right now. Now, for masculine and feminine, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, a lot of that work, it feels, I keep on seeing, it's more of the same work that I'm seeing as it relates to disassembling. I keep on seeing it's more of the same work that I'm seeing as it relates to disassembling about something in the context of the fact that we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to energetically address it, right? We don't want to articulate upon it. And again, one of the things that's important about that is in some contexts, right? We have to articulate everything is an energetic gift to an extent. Because sometimes, like when we're navigating trauma, there are things that we are not ready to talk about, right? And this is important to identify because the difference, I keep on hearing, it has to do with the articulation and identification point of readiness, right? Because when we are fully disassociated, we don't talk about anything. We just don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. That's not healthy, right? Sometimes we go through moments and there's something that we want to address, but we identify that we're not ready to have the conversation because something is too fresh. And that's why I keep on getting the message that when we work through the context of navigating situations that we feel we have to disassociate from, there is an aspect of disassociation that can feel healthy, but it has to do with being able to articulate and put a time limit on something, right? Right, when we have those moments that we feel like we're disassociating, right? But we also understand that we're in the process of healing something. We have those moments where we contextualize and say, I am not ready to talk about something. But in the state of identifying readiness, we're already amplifying the fact that we are healing because we're saying the day I am working towards the day that I can talk about something and it will feel restorational to the self to do so. Even in the context of saying readiness, it articulates the ability that someone is moving in the context of being able to have a conversation, to allow for a space of effective healing. However, sometimes when we're harboring something, right, when we're holding something, we just say, I refuse to talk about it, right? I don't want to talk about it. And that often can exist in the space of the ego because, again, the ego can be energetically overprotective. But often when we're overly protective on something, it doesn't create the capacity in order for us to heal. So I keep on seeing that there's something really beautiful that's happening right now across the frequencies as it relates to navigating difficult conversations. And in some of those spaces, there may be the articulation point of someone saying, I'm not ready to talk about it. But even in the space of another person saying, I'm not ready to talk about it. They're saying the day will come that we will be able to have that conversation. There is something productive that can be yielded from that. Versus situations where someone refuses to talk about something, avoids talking about it, pretends that it's not there, which can create what I like almost again, and in a healthy relationship, those don't exist because often those spaces, it's like you sometimes feel like you're in a relationship and you're banging into walls you didn't know were there, right? It's like often creates those spaces where it feels like you're walking on eggshells because you don't know what to do when you hit those modalities of energetic silence. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of energy right now. What is healing? What is healing is healthy conversations, productive conversations. And that doesn't feel like someone is forced to talk about anything, but being able to amplify and recognize what they are ready to address or what they're still working on to get to the point that they can address it. Final card for today's spread, between our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with our 10 of Pentacles in its upright. Can I have one card to clarify? There it is. I love it. I love our 6 of Swords in its reversal right now, because what happens in those moments or in those circumstances where we're able, I keep on hearing, airing frustration is healing. Because again, I keep on hearing frustration is not blame, right? Frustration is not blame. Frustration is not blame, because when we're frustrated by circumstances, we're able to identify why. When we're frustrated by circumstances, we're like, this is what's going on, right? You're able to just articulate, you're able to pinpoint what the issue is. So there's something that feels like a relief at times being frustrated, right? Because sometimes that's why we have conversations and be like, we're frustrated through them, but it feels good to get them off our chest, because when we're frustrated and another person validates our frustration, they say, yes, you are correct in the problem there. We go, oh, thank God, I'm not the one creating the trauma. Oh, hallelujah. Right? That's why we feel relief when we air frustration, because we're saying to someone, what do we often say when we're airing frustration? What are the words we usually end frustration on? Am I wrong? Am I wrong here? Because we're not looking to be reinforced, right? We're looking to be corrected. We're like, please tell me if there's something here that I've got off, because I'll calibrate for it. And sometimes when we have our frustration validated, it's even more frustrating, but it feels like a relief because someone else says, yes, you're correct. I can prove that your frustration is accurate, right? Like that in itself is its own healing. And I feel like that is something that's happening across all the frequencies, because I keep on hearing it's the accurate frustration that feels like a breath of fresh air. Right? It's that moment that we feel again. And the reason that we don't feel the reason that we don't feel like, and it's again, the ability to be frustrated is a gift, because it doesn't feel that it's just, I keep on hearing, it doesn't feel like it's just padding the ego. Right? It's almost that space that you say to someone, like, please, if there's something else I can do, tell me. And someone's just like, no. And you're like, okay, good. Right? It's like, it's clarifying. And so I keep on hearing, like, this is why it's chariot energy, because this is the energy that says, if something is wrong, you'll tell me, right? And the energy goes, yes. And they go, hallelujah. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my website. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is, oh gosh, I forgot the bottom of the deck. Perfect. We're going to pause for a minute. I just want to express, again, a perfect Venus in retrograde, Mercury retrograde moment. I forgot to give you guys the bottom of the deck. All right, just bear with me a moment. Bottom of the deck on today's reading. We've got here our six of wands in its upright. We got a lot of how many sixes do we have in the deck today? And this is our second six. So, here's the thing about it. Like you one of the things that we have to navigate, I'm just going to point it out again, with a lot of this work that we're still going through with Mercury in retrograde and Venus in retrograde, is often things that feel like they're going wrong at the most inopportune times, right? Like, I just got to tell you, if you feel like that is happening right now, if you're having moments that say like, I couldn't do that again if I tried, like, that's welcome to this kind of energy right now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of that, like, just like, it's that wackiness. It's those moments where like, it just feels like there's so many things that are happening that are going wrong at the same time, that it's like, don't get frustrated. Just roll with like, I told you, it's like, it's improv energy, right? When you go through, I need to point this out. And it has to do with letting go of expectations, right? This is a little bit of, again, that space, because what happens when we anticipate things? When we anticipate things and then things start feeling like they're going wrong, it feels like a catastrophe, right? But here's the thing about it. When we go through things that feel like they're becoming a catastrophe, but we roll through them in a way that allows us to feel like we're rising to the challenge. We sometimes have these moments that are so unique, that are so like there's a gift there, right? Because often, I need to point this out. Oh, okay, this is really important. When everything feels like it's going wrong, when everything feels like we're like navigating something that feels like it's a catastrophe, and we rise to the challenge, we discover an exquisite moment. We discover a moment that becomes unique and rare in the fact that all of those things that are going wrong become an energetic anomaly, right? It's not so much as building into the devastation of working through something and getting mad that it isn't what you expect it to be. It's looking at a situation and saying, what do I need to find within myself to rise to the challenge, to arrive at the opportunity? So I want you to think about that right now as you're navigating circumstances or situations. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to, as I've got a very pushy cat on my lap, I'd just like to remind you, if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a personal reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Also, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a reading. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you do so on my website. I also want to let you guys know about a couple of updates today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who participated in our recent class on the Justice Card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Hanged Man card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my site and my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to the Tarot Church, over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to have to catch up. I will do my best to give you updates on everything that we've studied thus far in our classes, but the material is there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That's over 12 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library that will be at your hands. You'll also have access to the complimentary option of having a mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your personal tarot journey to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best impact moving forward towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your robust experience or your lack of experience prevent you from joining our class program. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to any giveaway information. And speaking of any offerings that I'm also offering as well, I'm very happy to now be offering mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very now happy to offer dream interpretation readings. Those can be purchased on an individual level or as a series. I do want to remind you that if you purchase the class series of dream interpretations, to make sure that you start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming through to you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again